You know, they didn't score in the Champions League. They didn't score in the FA Cup final. You know, last weekend they didn't look like Liverpool at all.
Right.
And in this game today, yes, they dominated possession-wise, but you know what? You don't win the championship by dominating possession. You win the championship by scoring goals, taking advantage of your domination and winning games. And Liverpool have drawn 2 games, and in both games they haven't looked great going forward, particularly.
It doesn't help that we're talking about the part of going forward, but defensively Liverpool is allowing goals far too often, and sometimes far too early in the game, where they seem to be trailing. They seem to having the need to come back in order for them to get points, and eventually you're not going to find the explosive, dynamic productivity in the final third. There are times in which you're not going to score the goals, and to me, as much as I look at Liverpool as a team that perhaps is not creating as many opportunities as they should, they're also giving up opportunities themselves. If you look at Wilfried Zaha today, there were at least 3 or 4 opportunities where if he takes a better touch on the ball or makes a better decision, he is scoring a second goal. And then he had the one where he's sliding in with his right foot rather than sliding with his left foot and hits it off the post and out. So while it is disappointing for Liverpool that they got a point out of this game, you could actually argue that they were fortunate at times to get that point, because Crystal Palace had the more clear chances, and Wilfried Zaha, though he took his first chance really well, there were a couple other chances that he did not take very well at all.
Is Darwin Nunez going to be okay?
Yeah, he's young. He's got a lot of growing to do, Dan. The guy's got quality. Yes, he's a handful, but you know what? With youth comes a lot of teething problems,
right?
And one of them being what goes on in your head, your composure. Whether it's composure when you're in front of goal, or whether it's composure on the field of play when somebody's trying to rub you up the wrong way and you take the bait. So Darwin Nunez is going to be fine.
What's going to happen, though, over the next 3 games, Don, where he's suspended? What if Liverpool go on, win those 3 games comfortably? How does that change the dynamic of the season going forward?
Well, I don't think it changes the dynamic too much. Klopp would bite your hands off for that, Dan. But I think what I'm seeing now with Liverpool, and it's hard to try and criticise the job that Jurgen Klopp's done over the years. It's been sensational, but I looked at Liverpool probably 18 months ago, but more so the start of this season, where I'm thinking you've probably only got 3 players on the pitch that can score a goal. The midfield players do not score goals for Liverpool. You know, you look at Man City, the team that they're chasing, the team that everyone wants to compare them to. They've got people like Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. They've got goals all over the park. Liverpool's 3 throughout the years have been efficient by closing down, working hard, supplying the front 3, and those are the guys that get the goals. You know, it's very difficult to keep going into a Premier League game every single week relying on 3 guys to score. And Jurgen Klopp's come out this week, he said the scouring the earth for midfield players. They're trying, you know, maybe they want to try and wait for someone like Jude Bellingham or Declan Rice next season, but I just look at that midfield at the moment, and it doesn't matter which 3 play, they don't score any goals, Dan, and that's the worry for me.
Is that a concern, Steve? They finished with at a point of City without midfield scoring goals last season.
Yeah, they did, but it's very difficult, as Don said, to complain about what Liverpool do.
Right.
But the fact is that recently it hasn't been working to the level of what it was. And in order to get back to that, I think not only do you need new faces, but you 100% need a little injection of personality. And if you look at Liverpool's midfield, it's blank. It's blank. It's just a bunch of guys that run around. There's no real, I don't see any real diversity in it.
Right.
It's just a bunch of guys that chase and get the ball and try and give it to the front.
Well, Thiago offers that diversity, doesn't he? Obviously injured at the moment.
When he's playing.
Right.
Thiago hasn't played. Has he played 2 games in a row since he came?
I'm sure he has.
I'll tell you what. All right, I'll give him a maximum of 3 games.
Right.
But after that, we're looking at runners winning the ball. That's what we're looking at. And so, eventually, you just don't get away with that. Particularly when your front 3 are struggling to score goals, you need somebody or somebody to chip in, whether it's your midfield or your back line, and it ain't coming from the middle of the park. That's what Keita was bought for.
Right.
100%. That's why Naby Keita was bought by Jurgen Klopp, to not only get around the field and win the ball back, but get in the box and score some goals. And he hasn't delivered. And as Klopp said, they're not easy to find, those guys.
Can I go back to Darwin Nunez for a second?
No, we got to move on.
Okay. No. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. I think he's got to calm down, first of all. He just has to settle down. What we're seeing in some of the sequences in front of goal where he seems like he's rushing, he seems like he's slashing at the ball, he's just taking a swipe at it, it's because he wants to do so well, so badly, so soon.
Right. He's still a kid, isn't he?
Yeah, and so you bought me for all this money, and here I am, I'm excited, I'm Liverpool, I want to prove that I belong here, and so he's trying to do 10 things at a time. So maybe, and I know this is very glass half full, maybe the fact that he gets this red card and he's going to be suspended, he's not going to be around for the next few games, it allows him to actually calm down, for there to be a conversation with Jurgen Klopp and say, hey, Darwin, this is not what we do here, okay? You're going to be good for us, and this is how you're going to be good for us. He has to settle down. The talent is there, and you see some of the movement, and you say, okay, there are certain things that he brings to this team. But in front of goal, where you need to be calm, where you need to show composure, he's been all over the place. It's almost as if there are 10 thoughts going through his head rather than just reacting and doing the thing that has been instinctive for him in the past.
Liverpool still to win the title, Don?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Listen, how can I back out of it? I mean, 108 points to play for with 2 games in. I mean, what was City clear last season? Was it 15 points? And they got it all the way back to 1. I'm not giving up on them just yet.
Steve, what's wrong with your face?
Don's
It's just when you said Liverpool to win the title, I can't honestly, my brain didn't go, yes. I'm a little worried already.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a little worried already.
But one optimism, how good was Luis Diaz's goal?
Well, how many players do you see waltzing past 4 defenders, another one comes across, he waltzes past him, he's still got another defender who appears in front of him, and he's still got to beat the goalkeeper as well. And he does it easily.
Yeah.
And he puts it in the bottom corner with pace. I mean, it's a world-class goal. World class.
You were just referring to the midfield players as being bland. When I look at Luis Diaz, there's nothing bland about him.
No.
In this game in particular, when they go down to 10 men, he scores a goal, and it almost felt like single-handedly he was bringing this team back.
Yep.
That, look, let's win the ball again. Let's press again. Let's go and take it again. Let's create another opportunity. We're going to win this game. There's a certain attitude about Luis Diaz that if you're a Liverpool fan, you have to love.
Yeah, very much so.
Called heart.
There you go. Thank you very much for that, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.